That's 5 the last job at 13 Central.
At the end of the day in Maryland, if you're black, you're 3 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana possession than if you're white.
Sergeant 1 Central.
Suspect's vehicle thought to be containing narcotics. Can we get a K9 down here?
I had been impacted by marijuana laws, and I had been arrested for marijuana.
Yes, I've been arrested for marijuana.
I was arrested for marijuana possession, a felony marijuana possession.
The first hour or two of the experience was terrifying because it's like, man, I don't do bad stuff. I've never whacked a guy.
It was scary. People think that when people have one charge, they're like this lifelong criminal or something, but I had never gotten in trouble for anything before. I picked up a marijuana possession charge, and based on that charge, I was unable to get into the education field. I have a master's degree in secondary education, and meanwhile, before I even finished my degree in education, one of my friends asked me to volunteer coach at Patterson High School with her. And in order to coach in Baltimore City Public Schools, you have to be cleared background-wise. And the athletic director asked me to get a background check, and I did. And Baltimore City told me I was ineligible to work or volunteer in Baltimore City Public Schools.
I was arrested for marijuana, I say back in early 90s, and still follows me today.
When you go beyond even the data for arrest, blacks are charged at higher rates, convicted at higher rates, and tend to end up with longer sentences than our white counterparts. So at every level of the criminal justice system.
The reason I was pulled over was because of a tag light, supposedly. And then the next thing was step out the vehicle. The cop came to my car, she asked me for my license and registration, I gave it to her, and she said, step out the vehicle. As soon as I stepped out the vehicle, she put me in handcuffs. She didn't say before, she didn't ask me for anything. I said, why are you putting me in handcuffs? She said, because I smelled marijuana in your car.
You know, I was going to see my homeboy, because we, going down to celebrate. I brought 2 bags of weed. And I brought 2 bags of weed, remember that, 2 bags of weed. And we walking down the street going to one of my other homeboys' house, and a van, a regular van, came around the corner just balling. And skirt! They jumped out with guns drawn, and I threw 2 bags I had, I threw them and ran. On the report, it said that I had 7 bags thrown, 4 bags recovered. And I'm like, I only had 2 bags of weed, and where all this come from?
The journey after the arrest was even worse, because what happened was everyone told me that I could just get an attorney and they would help me, and it wouldn't be on my record, and it wouldn't be a big deal because it was my first charge and my only charge. However, it didn't happen like that at all. I paid $1,000 for an attorney. He told me that I needed to go to a drug education class for 6 to 12 weeks.
Most of my career was in drug and criminal enforcement, so I worked undercover. And when I reflect back on that and look at how we enforce those policies, how we exercised our strategies and tactics and who we targeted, we put a lot of people in prison, mainly for marijuana.
Do I believe police behave differently in white communities? Definitely. I got arrested for being black in a white community. People, they said they were looking for someone suspicious. They found the first black person and they arrested him.
At one point I used to think, oh, it's the guys in the street I had to worry about. Nah, now you gotta worry about the guys in the street. You gotta worry about the police.
I have a bunch of white friends, and a lot of times when I hear their stories of being around the police and stuff, it's more like, hey pal, can we stop you for a second? It's all like a friendly experience. And they'll have weed on them and all types of stuff, and then they just walk away from that. I've almost never heard of a black story where the police stopped them and it was a friendly experience.
My marijuana charge made me very hostile towards the overall presence of any type of officer, whether it be a traffic officer or a school cop. Not only did they illegally search my car, they made fraudulent documents to make a good reason for how they found the marijuana.
I think it would be, well, I know it would be a completely different scenario if we targeted every demographic the same way. You know, if we went into, for instance, Baltimore, if we went into Roland Park, and if we went into some of the private schools in northern Baltimore with drug sniffing dogs, you know, walking up and down the streets of Roland Park, sniffing cars, you know, or doing knock and talks as we do in other parts of Baltimore where we go up to someone's door and we knock, they answer the door, and we see what we can smell or see in plain view. If we were enforcing those policies like that in some of our affluent areas, this would have ended years ago. But we don't dare do that in law enforcement because we find ourselves working in the basement of headquarters somewhere counting socks or something.
After the arrest, I had like some difficulties gaining employment and like education. I was a student at Morgan when I was arrested, and they were threatening to put me out. I've actually had incidents where I went to a temp agency. I was offered a job because I was qualified and I had everything they needed. They told me I could start Thursday. He then searches my case, sees I have a marijuana charge, and tells me I'm disqualified. I ask him, am I disqualified due to your policy or the business's policy because you're a temp agency? He says, it's not us, it's the business. So I then contact the business, and the business said, we hire cons, anybody, we hire anyone. So considering I had a PBJ and I hadn't been found guilty of anything yet, I didn't see what disqualified me. So when I called back, the guy actually answers the phone and I say, I talked to the place you said they disqualified me. They said they hire anyone, so like, am I good to go? He actually ends up asking his manager, and they laugh and hang up the phone on me. I've even been denied by places as little as Walmart.
What I didn't know was there's other applications that don't just ask, have you been convicted of a crime? In the school system, they want to know, have you ever received a PBJ? Have you ever had a null process? Have you ever had an acquittal? So it goes far beyond if you just ever been convicted of a crime. And I had to check that box, and I had to say, yes, I have had a charge in the past. And that was one of the worst journeys I've ever had to take.
Honestly, that's what forced me to the streets, because of that weed charge, I couldn't really get the job that I wanted to get. I had to make some money some way. Only thing you can do is learn from your mistakes. And I've learned, being locked up ain't the place to be. And especially for, something petty is weed and, all that other stuff, it's not worth it. It's really not. I would rather, if I had to struggle to get a job, which I'm doing now, then it'd be, I'm not going back out to those streets. But people like myself that are really trying to, do better for themselves, and I know I made mistakes, just like anybody else, but I'm trying to do better for myself.
These are my certification. Back in 2001, I got certified in fiber optic and copper cable installation. 2005, I got certified for forklift class 1, 4, and 5. Despite all these certifications and a letter from being federally bonded, still unable to get a job.
First, let me say that it's moving a lot quicker than I thought it would. I thought that, not just me, but many members of our organization thought that we were doing this work for our great-grandchildren, but we had to continue, we had to start. Marijuana, oh my God, we have 2 states right now that have legalized marijuana.
Do I think marijuana should be legal? I'll give it a yes.
If we end prohibition, a number of things we will experience. Number one, the disparity issues go away. We're no longer arresting over 700,000 people every year in this country.
The negative part is the fact that when you come out of your door, you see someone getting arrested, and you wonder why the police in my neighborhood arresting my neighbor's kid just to find out it was just a bag of weed.
By legalizing it and by having it in safe places where people can actually buy it, it would take the power away from the people on the street that are selling it and making money off of it and not contributing to the economy.
We in law enforcement should be, and I would say that 95% of cops agree with this, we should be focusing on murder, rape, domestic violence, crimes of violence, robberies, crimes against our children. That's where we should be in law enforcement. That's what we should be doing. Not trying to tell and dictate to someone what you can put in your body.